1984 has been a great year for rally in Australia, and again Network 028 has been at the fore, presenting you with the best action this country has to offer. Rally 84 covers our 10 premier events, the 7 rounds of the opposite lock CBA New South Wales Rally Championship and the 3 premier rounds of the Australian Rally Championship. We start the State Series, and round 1 it's in the Blue Mountains. Ron Kremen has drawn car 1 and leads the field away. We join him for the first lap at Catalina.
Pretty tight, double apex slip. Very tight. Comes around on itself. Accelerate up. Third gear. Fast as you can go. Sharp double apex left-hander. Again, very tight.
Ed Mulligan starts the opposite lock RX-7. This is Ed's first outing in the new Group A car. Canberra's Nick Belfield gets away in his quick but reliable Datsun. Lots of noise, but not much action from Dale Loader. The yellow Lancer is disappointing and off the pace all day. Car 9 is big as John Atkinson. Let's hope his little nap before the start hasn't relaxed him too much. Atkinson picked up 2 wins in the second last year from only 3 starts. He's favourite today. From Katoomba, the competitors transport out to the Hampton State Forest. There they get down to work in earnest. Sydney's Bruce Rogers. John Atkinson. He's already having problems with the stanza, and it's obviously costing him time. Bruce Garland on the boil. He's snatched the lead. Neil Weston, car 3, is the Road and Rally Network 028 Datsun. With a new engine this year, Weston hopes to be up there with the leaders. Belfield has started right off the pace, but is fighting back with consistently good times. Big as John Atkinson is currently in second place, just 2 seconds behind the leader, Bruce Garland. Things haven't been going your way today, John.
No, we've had our ups and downs, certainly. It's full of
What are the
excitement.
problems?
Oh, nothing major. I suppose the worst thing that happened was we had a jammed throttle cable, and it was on a downhill, rough and grotty section with a sharp left-hand bend at the bottom, and next minute the tacho flies up to about 8,000 to 10,000 revs and the motor's screaming away, and we've got to brake and find the key and turn the thing off and get around the corner. And we drove the rest of the section, I don't know, about 6 or 7k for the rest of the section on the key.
Arthur Jackson in the second Road and Rally Datsun. However, for Garland, it's catch me if you can. Kremen still heads the field, but in fact he's running about 15th right now. The little Corolla isn't enjoying the rough terrain. Car 2, the stanza driven by Gordon Levin, has also slipped back. Levin's running 8th as he punches the car through the gate and up the hill. We catch up with the 028 car as it pulls into a passage control, then turns left. Next, it's Bruce Rogers. That's great, Bruce. Now turn left. Left! Deep in the forest, the leading cars are finishing the daylight division. Jack Whiteman, car 11, is coming 11th. Mark Hankinson, car 6, has dropped well back and will finish the daylight work in 27th place. For Newcastle driver Gary Burns, the afternoon has been a mixture. Fastest on a couple of stages, including Catalina, he is still only in 13th position. Ron McKinnon looks one-eyed. He's rolled the Datsun. At one stage in the lead, the roll has cost him 6 minutes and dropped him 37 places. At the meal break, Garland and Atkinson appear to have the event to themselves with just 2 seconds between them. However, running further down the field, Rod Jones and Don Booker forced themselves into contention. Booker in car 23 at TR7 V8 grabs the lead with a splendid 14 seconds over Garland. Atkinson's right behind him, and Jones, car 22, only 3 seconds further back. The pressure's on, and it begins to tell. Atkinson looks ragged and loses valuable time. Jack Whiteman is calm and controlled. Steady driving will see him finish 10th. Gary Burns powers on, but the best he can do is hang on to his 13th place. Our first look at Rod Jones, and he's in there punching and really applying the pressure to the leaders. Don Booker pushing hard and clinging to his lead. Rod Jones maintains his pace and picks up a couple of places. John Atkinson does the same and grabs the lead just before the finish. Don Booker tries too hard. The Triumph collects a tree in the last stage, and the 5 minutes lost drops him back to 11th place. Nick Belfield comes home 4th, Bruce Garland 3rd, and Rod Jones 2nd. The 2WS Rally of the Hills has been run and won. Our winner tonight, John Atkinson. How did it go?
Oh, quite well. We had a few problems to start with, but we got it a bit together tonight and went quite well.
Well, it was pretty tight for you before the meal break in the daylight. It obviously came good tonight.
Yes, we sort of got our act together and drove a little bit harder, and it just came together quite well.
I believe it was a bit rough out there.
It was very rough, actually. We think we've done more damage to the car in one event than we have in about 3 years of rallying. You know, a lot of big rocks there and that sort of thing. And not that I've been under the car, but the boys tell me it's a bit sad looking.
Well, at least you have the winner's check to help you with the damage. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you.
We're in Port Macquarie on the north coast of New South Wales for the second round of the opposite lock CBA New South Wales Rally Championship. Known predominantly as a tourist centre, Port holds a special place in the hearts of rally enthusiasts. Home of the late, great Southern Cross rallies, Port Macquarie is today playing host to the 2MC Toyo Tyres Forest Classic Rally. Favourites for the event are Bega's John Atkinson and Steve Robertson, fresh from a good win in the first round just a few weeks ago. The rally, well run, on good quality forest trails, is popular with competitors, and a full field of 70 teams set off from the start at Port's Town Beach. After a short blast around the local dam, the cars move into the forest and get down to work in earnest. We pick up Arthur Jackson, driving the 1600 for this event rather than his usual mount, the Stanza. Looks like he's been clearing back the foliage for the cars to follow. Next it's Atkinson. Quickest around the dam, he's trying to stretch a slender lead. Canberra's Nick Belfield. Fourth at Katoomba, he's right up with the leaders and looking for a good finish to consolidate his position in the series. Another Canberra team in a 1600, Hanu Ropala with navigator Wayne Kenny. Last year they led this event at one stage, but trying too hard ran off the road. Gary Burns in the X-Works Ford Escort. He's catching the leaders. Ron Marks in the most exotic car in the field, a Renault Turbo, straight from the factory. As the afternoon wears on, the leading car becomes harder to determine. Belfield's up there, with Atkinson and Marks in the Renault. But so is Ropala and Peter Moore in a Lancer. In addition, Gary Burns has the Escort really wound up and is moving through the lot of them. The lead is changing after every special stage, and crews find they must perform consistently at 10/10ths. Contrasting styles become more pronounced as the drivers become more desperate. Whiteman takes a tight line. Atkinson uses a flick. And Ropala's right off the air. With night approaching, drivers make the best use possible of the remaining light. Only 20 seconds separates the leading 5 teams. However, the 2 special stages tonight are long, and the winner will probably be decided then. The little Renault steals the last of the daylight, and with it, a slender lead. The signpost points the way, and Atkinson, who's really flying, goes so close to taking it with him. The night belongs to Atkinson and Burns in the Escort. Peter Moore has a good run during the night and settles the Lancer into 4th place. Gary Burns pushing Atkinson back to 2nd. Belfield stays moves up to 6th. With Sunday morning to come, only one short special stage remains. It's a repeat of yesterday's run around the dam. Only 1 second separates Burns and Atkinson. Just 3 kilometres will decide the event. Gary, you've got a slender lead, 1 second.
Yes, it's you can't get much closer than that. It's very tight.
Okay, now you've had some mixed fortunes on this dam section. The first time through you're a little bit slow. Second time you're right on the pace. Are you going to be quick enough this time?
Well, we were 6 seconds slower than Atkins the first time. We equalled him the second time, so this time we reckon we're going to beat him.
I think you're going to have to, aren't you?
Oh, we've got a 1 second lead, so we only have to equal him, but it's pretty hard to try and just equal him. You've got to beat him.
And what are your tactics? How are you going to be attacking it?
Oh, first and second's nowhere, so I suppose we'll go for Brave.
In fact, most places have already been decided. This stage is so short, no more than a few seconds should separate most cars. Peter Moore has been close to the leaders for the whole event. He takes 4th place in the Lancer. Third place will go to Nick Belfield, together with more valuable points for the series. After problems encountered on the Saturday afternoon, Gordon Levin has fought back to finish 9th. The Stanza finally showing its potential. Now the two drivers everyone's been waiting to see. First, it's Atkinson and the Stanza. Atkinson's time on both runs yesterday was 3 minutes 7 seconds. He was quickest, but will need a better time today to beat the Escort. Onto the dam wall, and now flat out across it. Up the hill and across the ridge. Just 400 metres to the finish, and he is really moving. A beautifully controlled slide, and he charges for the last corner. Two minutes 59. He set the fastest time again. This makes Burns' task so much harder. Navigator Steve Robertson can't believe it.
59? Something strange. He didn't do it 8 seconds quicker than yesterday. 8 seconds quicker.
Burns will have to match Atkinson's time or settle for second place. 2:59, 8 seconds quicker than yesterday, John.
It was all hanging out, I tell you.
It must have been a great run.
Well, we still he's bones.
All we've got to do now is wait and see how Gary Burns goes.
Yeah, that's right. It's like the rally sprint, isn't it? You come out shaking in 3K.
Well done.
Oh, thanks, Keith. They're terrific motor car. They've got probably the best power-weight ratio about. And Gary's certainly driving it very well. It's a bit of a trick coming onto the dam here. The car goes right, and then you've got to throw it to the left. So he goes out to the right, now he's got to get round that way. Pretty hard. Watch it accelerate down the dam. You've got the bag full of go, you'll pick another gear and watch it go. They really get going, look at that. He's going to have a very good time if he keeps this up.
Come on, go!
Lift the edge there, lift the corner again, and he's off. Slot another gear. 12,000 revs. Now, if he gets this right, he's going to have a very good time.
Whoop! Go, 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 go!
Look at the acceleration in him.
He's got it, mate. Come on! Come on!
Has he?
Milky burst for everyone! Woo!
3 minutes flat. 1 second slower, he's tied the scores. First, Gary Burns with Jim Gleeson and John Atkinson with Steve Robertson. For the third round of the opposite lock CBA New South Wales Rally Championship, a full field of 70 teams have travelled from all over the state to Australia's cheese capital on the far south coast of New South Wales. Peter Clark and Mick Harker have drawn car 1 and lead the field away on the 1984 Bega Valley Rally. The 1983 champions, this is their first run in this year's series. Another Canberra team, John Waterhouse and Russ Whitty, are the second car to leave the start control. Local team John Atkinson and Steve Robertson are third away. They're the series leaders and need a good place in this, the longest and most gruelling event of the championship. From the start in Bega, teams work their way north towards Bermagui, then head back south to finish the daylight division at Merimbula. Clark and Harker. Atkinson and Robertson. Hot on their heels, Gosford's Ron Kremen in Brian Hilton's Corolla. Nice and sideways, the 028 team of Weston and Berryman. Another Bega team, Mark Hankinson and Steve Owers. Sydney's Rogers and Davis, they came second last year and are after a win this year. Gordon Levin, the stanza driver, will retire later in the afternoon, having blown a diff. Rod Jones from Bathurst won't last much longer. Tonight he'll lose a wheel and be forced out with sheared wheel stubs. The bad luck continues. A disappointed Ron Kremen retires the Corolla. He's blown the motor.
All the way from Melbourne. All the way from Perth.
Doug Briscoe, Mazda. Don Booker, Triumph. Brown looks a little ragged, but his times have been good. He finishes the daylight in 8th position. Canberra's Kerr Lewis and Bardas are smoother, but slower and never come into contention. At the Merimbula meal break, teams prepare for the night division ahead and check scores. The afternoon has produced a surprise. Favourite John Atkinson hasn't been able to establish a good lead on his home track. He leads Nowra driver Ron McKinnon by just 6 seconds. Neil Weston's in 5th place, but he's only 90 seconds down. Neil, there are 4 cars in front of you in that 90 seconds. You're going to be able to pick some up tonight.
Oh, I think we should be able to, Keith. The conditions in the evening generally suit us.
Why is that?
Oh, the car seems to handle very well at the moment, and last year down here we did fairly well, so I think the night time tonight we could see some changes around the place.
Now, Peter, you've been sitting in the left-hand seat today. What's it been like?
Most enjoyable, most exhilarating.
What?
The car's going beautifully. The engine's excellent.
What's it been like?
It's been very fast today generally. Daylight always is a bit fast, and the roads in this part of the world are generally fairly fast. The last couple of stages before the meal break were closed shire roads, and they're very fast. Beautiful roads.
Great. What are you expecting tonight?
Well, tonight we'll be down in the comparatively new forest country between Eden and the Victorian border, where all the roads are pretty new and built to a very high standard, and again they're pretty fast roads. The Butte roads generally pretty smooth, generally very fast. The country isn't terribly mountainous, so all the roads tend to be fairly fast.
When you say fast, what sort of speeds would you expect to be getting up to tonight?
That is a leading question, Keith.
Probably about 100.
I can't see the speedo from where I am, but I suppose you'd occasionally touch 100 miles an hour.
Well, these guys aren't doing 100 miles an hour, but watch them get into trouble on this tricky right-hander. Rod Jones starts the nonsense. Now Bruce Rogers has a go. Not to be outdone, Rob Warboys completely misjudges the corner and kills his lights just for good measure. Don Booker doesn't like being upstaged, so he throws in 2 bobs worth as well. David Eadie finally takes the best and fairest award with a Torval and Dean standard performance. However, Ron McKinnon has spent the night hard at work. He finishes the division 2.5 minutes ahead. Ron McKinnon obviously had a great night last night. Ron, tell us about it.
Yes, we did. We just seemed to go along at one certain pace all the way. We didn't have any dramas.
Well, must have been. I think I crept into that interview a bit.
It didn't feel it. It's just that I've just got a new motor in, which is just really strong, and I can just stay up in a higher gear, and it's so torquey I don't have to go back and rev the motor, and it just seems to be getting more traction. It doesn't seem faster, but it must be faster.
Right. You've been right up with the leaders on a couple of previous events. Had a bit of trouble getting to the finishing post.
Yeah,
you going to do it today?
I hope so. There's 36 competitive, but it's a long way. I wish it was over now.
Canberra's Nick Belfield currently coming 3rd. Nick, 4 minutes down on the leaders. It's a long way today.
Yes, it is. I don't think there's any hope of me catching them, so I'm quite content to stay where I am. I'm about 1 minute and 3/4 behind John Atkinson, who's coming second. and I've got Jack Whiteman about a minute, just over a minute behind me, so I just want to maintain station because there's over 35 Ks around here. Bega, Mr. Atkinson, be pretty hard to, you know, catch up to.
So you're just going to play it safe?
Yeah.
Now, this is your first time down here, Nick.
Yes.
Enjoying it?
I am, very much so. It's great. I don't think I've been as quick before. You know, in terms of speed, outright speed is very, very fast, very, very smooth, brilliant roads.
Have a good run today.
Thank you very much, Keith.
Our leader, Ron McKinnon. With only 36 kilometres of competitive driving, McKinnon knows he only has to keep it on the road to win. Atkinson is sure to be quicker. He knows these roads close to Bega so well, but McKinnon's lead is too great. Atkinson, with navigator Steve Robertson pointing the way. Arthur Jackson comes in quickly and delicately takes a wider line for a change. David Eadie gently selects another gear. Ron McKinnon and Dave Kelly have turned in a faultless performance. They have outclassed a dozen other teams with quicker, more sophisticated vehicles and have soundly beaten the Atkinson-Robertson combination on their home territory. It's the Nowra team's first big win as we watch them power up to the finish.
Very sideways out of that hairpin. Showing you spectacular stride, drifting wide in the second last corner. So it's really got some power in it. The navigator raises the foot in the air as they come into the stride.
Atkinson tries hard. He's quickest on the day. There's no way he can catch McKinnon, though. Belfield and Taylor have put in another fine performance and have consolidated second place in the series. Second in the 1984 Bega Valley Rally, John Atkinson and Steve Robertson. Third, the Canberra team of Belfield and Taylor. Fourth place goes to Jack Whiteman and Rod Horsley. Our winner, Ron McKinnon. Ron, you're going to drive fairly conservatively today and preserve that lead. How did it go?
Yeah, it went beautifully. We did that all the way. John took a bit of time off us on each section, but he didn't take enough off to catch us.
Well, you were fastest time on one section, so you couldn't have been too conservative.
No, I tried. I thought I'd better have a bit of a go on one just to show them that I could still do it. So I just had a bit of put the foot down on one section there.
Right. Well, that's a great run. Navigator, Dave Kelly. Yes. This is your first win in a series title event?
Yes, Keith. Ron and I have been together for about 9 months in rallying, and this is our first finish that's been of a result like this. It's really good.
Well, you've come close a couple of times, had mechanical problems, I think, mainly in the past. No problems at all this time?
None whatsoever. The car went beautifully, didn't it?
Yeah, it went beautifully. That's all I can say. It's just it went just fantastic. That's all it was. I just had to steer it.
Toyo Tyre Power 400, halfway point for teams competing in this year's opposite lock CBA New South Wales Rally Championship. Neil Weston starts the action. Bruce Rogers with navigator Steve Owers on the pace right from the start. The last we'll see of Jack Whiteman, he'll lose it just a few kilometres down the track and slip off the road. Hill in a borrowed Lancer and already having problems. We won't see him again as he falls back through the field. Series leader Atkinson with a new navigator, Ray Stubbs from Sydney. Hot on Atkinson's heels, the Canberra team of Belfield and Taylor. They're getting quicker with every event and really starting to pressure the Bega driver. The Bathurst boys, Jones and Bloom, also well placed in the series. This won't be their time to shine. Gearbox failure forces their retirement. Gary Burns in the Escort. He's also to come to grief. Fastest on this stage, he collects a tree in the next competitive. Looking a little ragged, Scott McCloy. As the afternoon progresses, the tricky conditions really thin the field. Bruce Rogers keeps the yellow Datsun on the island and sets the pace for the rest to chase. For Neil Weston, the rally is almost over. Just back from holidays and obviously relaxed, the road and rally Datsun driver will fall victim to the conditions and slide off the road and over a bank. Local driver Peter Houghton is content to just maintain station during the afternoon. He'll make his run tonight. Atkinson can't afford to take it easy and puts together a series of times that wrest the lead from Rogers. Belfield, just seconds behind, is keeping both of them honest. Asked by Forestry to clear any blocked drains, Paul Bramble shows how it's done. At the meal break, Atkinson leads Rogers by just 2 seconds, and Belfield is only 10 seconds further back. John, you've had some problems.
Not well, we've hopefully solved them. We've got an alternator light coming on, and but we're getting the multimeter showing that we've got volts, and voltmeter's working, and
So it appears it's just a gauge fault.
it appears that way, but the theory is if the gauge light comes on, it shouldn't be working, but it seems to be working, so...
Well, it could be a problem tonight when you need all that power for the lights.
Well, that's right, because they're 35k section, a 60k section, and you just can't run all those lights for 30k's on a battery. They won't do it.
Of the original 64 starters, only 38 remain. Atkinson leads the way as road conditions get even worse. Rogers slips off the road trying too hard, but Belfield hangs on grimly, sharing the nighttime honours with Atkinson. The battle for third place is just as close, with Peter Houghton in the Datsun challenging Peter Moore, the Lancer driver. Our old mate, Peter Bramble, still out there checking the drainage. Looks like this slot's okay. Most teams have had problems of one sort or another. Judson and Thompson have run most of the event with no rear brakes. That's pretty awkward in the mud. They finish a good 10th in the Escort. The rally finishes at Bulahdelah. John Atkinson and Ray Stubbs have had a trouble-free run and cling to their lead, finally coming home just 12 seconds in front of Belfield and Taylor. 4.5 minutes further back, Peter Houghton will snatch third place with Peter Moore only 2 seconds behind him. The series has now become a two-horse race. Atkinson and Belfield are so far ahead, it's unlikely any other team can seriously challenge them for the championship. Well, John and Ray, congratulations again. Just 12 seconds. A new team must be lucky for you.
Well, yes, Robbo couldn't make it through work pressures this time, and we picked up Ray here. Well, you know, you can't help bad luck, I suppose, but no, he did a very professional job.
The Bellinger Valley provided a magnificent subtropical setting, offering stark contrast to the terrain competitors such as Bega's John Atkinson are familiar with. Atkinson, with regular navigator Steve Robertson back in the saddle, was first car out from the start control. ACT team, Nick Belfield and Mike Taylor, were next away in a field reduced to a meagre 39 teams through last-minute cancellations. There's no doubt many competitors are only comfortable rallying in their own backyard. Come on, fellas, get out there and start travelling. It's the only way to pick up real experience. Atkinson's driven over 1,000 kilometres just to get to this event. Over the past 2 years, he's competed all over the country and is now recognised as one of the quickest, most consistent drivers in Australia. A win in this event will virtually wrap up the championship. The first competitive is only a few hundred metres from the start in Bellingen. It's a sprint, giving drivers no chance to settle down. Atkinson sets a time for the rest to catch. Nick Belfield gets away. Heading across the paddock before dropping down onto the riverbank, he heads for the run home. Belfield and Taylor have had a great year and lie a comfortable second place in the series within easy reach of Atkinson. They need a win. Neil Weston. Without regular navigator Berryman, today he's got Steve Owers holding down the left-hand seat. This stage is pretty short, but really lumpy. Teams find it's more like riding a bucking horse than driving. Briscoe with one of the country's most experienced navigators, Ray Stubbs. Doug has chased rallies all over the state in the last 12 months and has rapidly progressed from a novice to Grade 1 driver. Briscoe has a dramatic style and throws the tiny Mazda about vigorously. Watch this little classic. Jeff Briscoe is the next car out, making it a real family affair. Briscoe's Escort is one of the best presented cars you'll find competing. His style, a little more conservative than Doug, but just as quick. Further north, we pick up the leaders as they put in a couple of laps at the Coffs Harbour Autocross circuit. Atkinson is just in the lead, but you can forget him. In the next competitive, he'll run off the road, destroy the Stanza's front suspension and retire. Rod Jones and Mark Bloom, our Bathurst boys, only just made it to the start this time. The Datsun has been completely rebuilt since a bad accident at Gosford only a few weeks ago. Jones is strapped up, has a neck brace and is pretty sore. He's on the pace now, but the team will slow as the event progresses. Peter Moore has made a steady start. We can expect the Lancer driver to lift his game as the night's longer stages develop. As Neil Weston tackles the autocross stage, more drama has been unfolding in the next competitive. Not only has Atkinson fallen by the wayside, we've also lost Nick Belfield. The Canberra driver has also run off the road, damaged the Datsun suspension and retired. The event's wide open, both leaders are out. Doug Briscoe, right up with the front runners. Jeff Briscoe benefits from the retirements and takes the lead. The little Escort is running perfectly. Newcastle driver John Dean has been steadily moving up through the pack. He understeers off and into the bank, losing valuable time. Only late tonight will Dean realise how important those few seconds were. Barry Mann and Ian Young. Come on, Barry. Show us what the Datsun can do. Lovely. Andrew Dodd and the super quick VW really getting the power on the ground. Peter Moore cruising up to fourth. Neil Weston in second place, just a couple of seconds down. Doug Briscoe, third. Brother Jeff clinging to the lead. Newcastle team, John Dean and Arthur Evans, catching the lot of them on the way home. Alan Hunter on the way to a good placing. He really knows his way around these hills, even when he's no idea where he's going. How about a wave, Alan? At the halfway mark, we've got a very interesting situation. Driver Jeff Briscoe with a lead of just 2 seconds. Jeff, what are you going to do tonight?
Well, it's very slender lead, Keith. I think we'll... so we've just put some new tyres on, and I think we'll sort of have a bit of a go at it. It's unfortunate that John Atkinson and Belfield are out. I think that's probably why we're in the lead, but you know, I think we can probably do it from here.
Well, that's crook for them, but not too bad for yourself. Now, Neil Weston's only 2 seconds behind. What about him? He's going to be trying pretty hard tonight.
Yeah, sure. I think Neil will be trying fairly hard, and we'll just have to try a bit harder.
And what about the big fella, your brother Doug?
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got him covered at the moment. But
well, it's only 30 seconds.
Yeah, still. It's a fair way to go. I think it's about another 100k.
And no problems with the car?
Oh, we've had a bit of a trouble with a rear hub working its way loose this afternoon. It didn't really cost us any time, but the caused the brake pads to knock off, and we've just spent about half an hour fixing it. And
All sorted out now?
Yep, fine.
We'll have a good run tonight.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
Unfortunately, the good run doesn't eventuate. Briscoe's lead is lost in a moment. An unexpected hole claims the escort. He loses 20 minutes and any chance of a win. Chris Judson moving up to 8th. Very nice. Dodd on the way to 6th. Briscoe in the Mazda. John Dean's been hard at work. He's really flown and moved up to 2nd spot. With Briscoe out of contention, Weston takes the lead. As the night draws to a close, the leaders cling desperately to the top places. Briscoe's Mazda finishes 4th. Peter Moore and the Lancer takes 3rd. John Dean comes home 2nd, just 4 seconds behind the winners, Weston and Owers. Dean lost the event with his off at the autocross circuit. The big winners at Bellingen, Neil Weston and Steve Owers. Neil, I believe it's your first.
Yes, it is, Keith. We're extremely happy about it, I can tell you. We've had a very arduous rally.
And how is it for you, Steve? Nice smooth sailing?
Oh, it's good. We had a few problems with the car, but nothing we couldn't fix.
Well, it couldn't have slowed you down too much?
It did in places, but we were just lucky enough to get ahead by 4 seconds. I think that's a fairly narrow win, and we're extremely lucky.
A field of 65 teams will do battle over 360 kilometres of forest trails and shire roads. Base for the event, the Bateman's Bay Soldiers Club, shows teams making last-minute preparations for the rally. First car away, the Central West team of Jones and Bloom.
Well, give it to me at the mill break and I'll sign it for you.
Car 2, series leaders Atkinson and Robertson. They won this event last year and must be favourites to win again and sew up the championship. Sydney sider Neil Weston.
I'd say that we should be up there at the front. Don't know if we'll get right to the front because there are some very fast people here, but should be a good event.
Fresh from a great win in the last round, he's out to do it again. From the club, it's straight into the forest. Rod Jones starts the action. John Atkinson. Weston with Canberra navigator Mick Harker. South Coast team, Hankinson and Owers. Sydney's Doug Briscoe with Ray Stubbs in the Mazda. Second in the series and hot in pursuit of Atkinson, top Canberra team Nick Belfield and Mick Taylor. Lancer driver Peter Moore, his seeing eye dog Ron Barkas. With some good results this year, they're third in the series. Local hotshot Ron McKinnon led this event last year until mechanical problems forced him out just a few kilometres from the finish. Today, he's doing it again. At the halfway mark, McKinnon leads by 23 seconds from Belfield, with Weston keeping them both on it just 2 seconds further back. Peace returns to the bay as teams drift back from the forest. Neil Weston tells what it's been like.
Well, Keith, it's been very dusty, and I think that's probably an understatement. It's been extremely fast and competitive, and everyone is trying very, very hard. John Atkinson is actually playing a waiting game because he's after the championship and not this particular event. And I think with the deficit of 25 seconds at this stage, I didn't believe that we could actually get up to get ahead of Ron McKinnon. However, it seemed to happen.
After a short break, it's back to work. We pick up Hanu Roppola and Wayne Kenny pushing hard in the escort. They'll finish 7th. McKinnon's bad luck in this event continues. Fuel problems force him way back down the field. Jones and Bloom can manage only 9th. Briscoe, placed 13th at the meal break, gets his act together and comes home 6th. Atkinson plays safe. The series is more important than this one event. He settles for 4th. Belfield can do no better than 3rd. But he's closed the gap on Atkinson's lead in the series, and the last round in Canberra will decide the championship. Second place to Bega's Mark Hankinson, just a fraction behind the winners of the Bay Stages 84, Neil Weston and Mick Harker. A winning margin of just 4 seconds, identical to Weston's win in the previous round. The Esso Girrawang service station hosted the final and deciding round of the series. Only 2 teams could win, Bega's John Atkinson and Canberra's Nick Belfield. Well, Nick, it's all got to happen today.
Yes, Keith. John is 6 places in front of us in the points table. I think it'll be very hard to beat him fair and square. So I think my strategy will be to drive fairly steadily, keep it on the road, and, you know, maybe he'll have some trouble and it'll go my way then. But what I'm keeping in mind is that Mike Taylor is leading the Navigators point score, and I'm secure in 2nd place. But if realistically, you know, if I go too hard, you know, and fire off or something like that, it's going to lose Michael the championship, and I mean, I'll still keep my 2nd place, but he'll miss out on his Navigators. So I think I'll just, especially with these conditions, as I said, I'll just drive fairly steadily and just see what eventuates.
First car away, Victorian Hugh Bell in the immaculate RX-7. Our other contender, John Atkinson. John, the whole year series has come down to one event.
Nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Well, the pressure's really on.
Yes, it's more on Nick than myself. He's got to beat me by 6 places, and we'll do the same as we did in Bateman's Bay, back right off and just try and come in a place behind him or a couple of places. Our main worry is that if he goes really quickly and we back off, then the few people might fill the gap in between, so we'll have to watch that.
Car 2, the local team of Clark and Harker, who had such a great year last season and are about to lose their title to either Belfield or Atkinson. Unless he can come home 6 places ahead of Atkinson, he'll have to settle for series runner-up. On the other hand, Belfield's navigator, Mick Taylor, is better placed. He'll win the co-driver's title unless Atkinson beats them by 4 places. Briscoe and Stubbs. Nice one, Doug. You'll need a couple more CBA lights. He's off the air, but it can't last. A couple of kilometres down the track, he runs off the road, losing 15 minutes while they winch the Datsun back on the road. He loses any chance of winning the series. As the rally moves east past Queanbeyan, Bell loses his position at the head of the field. The pace is frantic, and even Clark can't match it. Jones and Bloom are also finding it difficult to keep with the leaders. For them, it doesn't matter, however. Distributor problems are about to force their retirement. Hankinson. Bell's dropped a few positions, but is still up with the leaders. Atkinson, smooth as usual. Series sponsor, Ed Mulligan, giving the production class Mazda an outing. Weston and Berryman still in the lead. Sydney siders Doug Briscoe and Ray Stubbs. Rob Warboys has put the laser away and brought the Cortina out of mothballs. He loves that extra power. Locals, Bevan and McNabb are managing to keep the leaders in sight. They'll improve as the rally progresses. Further east, we move out of the stately pine forests and into private roads, open and fast. Clark and Harker show the way. Far behind, Hankinson and Owers. Hugh Bell. It seems everything is finally right with the Mazda. Or is it? Mazda dies. A bad bump has broken a battery lead. Bell and Ellis work like crazy to find the problem. Every second puts them further back. While the rally is momentarily over for the Mazda, Atkinson and his stanza are hard at work.
accelerator. Right. Come on, hit the accelerator.
Mulligan's production class RX-7, cruising past its helpless cousin. Jack Whiteman. Today, however, he's off the pace. Neil Weston's another kettle of fish. He's got the rest of the field by the throat and is giving him a good shake. Weston finishes the daylight 80 seconds ahead of Clark and Hankinson. Atkinson lies fourth. The series leader is only 1 second further back. As the night unfolds, Weston clings to his lead, ahead of a fast-charging Clark. Hankinson runs off the road, and Atkinson relaxes. He can settle for an easy third place. Mulligan will only finish 14th, but it's enough to win the production class and sort out the car for the Alpine. Tapner and Gleeson, they'll come home 8th. Third in the Esso Giralang Rally, but 1984 state champions John Atkinson and Steve Robertson. Second place in the rally, Peter Clark and Mick Harker. First place to Neil Weston and Peter Merriman.